Ready? Okay. All right, should we open in prayer?
Yep.
Lord, thank you for giving us your words of life and the Comforter to help us to live and indwelling us to understand you and your will for us. And to give us understanding from your word today as we study it. Amen. All right, Ezekiel 32. What do you think we should do? Should we read it, or have you all read it? We have the study questions, right? So I could get straight into that. So this is all about Pharaoh. I'll get my regular Bible too. It's all in this.
So, and this is another year later than the previous chapter. He was in the 11th year, and now he's in the 12th year.
Okay. In the 12th year of the 12th, in the 12th month. So Pharaoh is compared to a young lion of the nations and a monster of the seas. What do these metaphors reveal about Egypt's self-perception and how God sees them?
Well, they're powerful. King, like the king of the jungle, top of the food chain.
Years. Could be feared.
Fierce. Feared and fierce. So I don't know. Is you think a lion? If they think of, he considers himself a lion, but you're really like a dragon of the seas, or a monster in the seas. So he probably thinks like, are we saying here? We're getting out of this that he thinks he's honorable, or
No, I
what do you call it?
Feared.
Yeah.
The
Feared?
monster of the sea, all the sailors, they were worried about the octopuses or whatever the monsters were that come
Well,
out of the
exactly.
ship,
But
the Kraken.
And like what you said, you said dragon. That's what I thought of too. A dragon, like a serpent, you know?
Right. Loch Ness.
Invincible.
Yeah. Of the sea, a dragon, serpent.
but it says you consider yourself a young lion of the nations, but you are really like a monster of the seas.
The lion is more king.
His right.
Oh,
His
I see.
like Pharaoh's perception of himself is a lion of the nations.
I get it.
But God's perception of Pharaoh is a sea monster.
I get it.
maybe we should have read it first.
Well, if you look at the question, it says Pharaoh's compared to a young lion of the nations. What do these metaphors reveal about their self-perception and how God sees them? So there was a hint in the question. But I think there's a self-perception, and then there's a God's perception of them. So I think like I know there's a lot of comparison to lions of like Christ is like a lion, right? I mean,
Usually the lion's also considered like on the throne, you know, sometimes you will see pictures of
Uh-huh.
the lion.
regal.
Regal
Yeah.
on the throne, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well, the
not
sea
necessarily a
monster
bad
is-
thing.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah. Sea monster is really, you know, no one really likes the sea
No.
monster. People want to kill the sea monster, stay away from it, right? There's nothing great you see a sea monster other than get away, or people might want to try to kill it, whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Ron, we should have read it first, because after reading it, you say, you consider yourself a lion of the nation.
Right. You consider yourself.
But you are like a dragon in the sea.
Uh-huh.
God sees them, that tells you God sees them as a dragon as opposed to a lion.
Right. So what does that what kind of an image then? I mean, we said that the sea monster or the dragon of the seas, we're afraid of them, or they're like, what are some attributes of that why is God comparing him to that instead of the lion?
Sneaky, like, just.
Well,
you know,
Like very like dark, like you're coming up, like
yeah,
you like
ambush.
ambushing, yeah.
Ambush. You
The
know.
previous use of the dragon said like a crocodile.
Uh-huh.
They stalk and hide and then attack.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing positive if you have a lake and there's a dragon or a monster in it, but the lion can be perceived as someone backing you, let's say in an army or whatever, and you got the lion, or you said he's not, he's considered regal or on the throne, but the
Uh-huh.
monster, you don't want anything with,
Well-
all you wanna do is either be away from it or possibly try to kill it,
Mhm.
that's the only two options when you see that thing, get away or kill it.
And it's
Oh.
not, its result is not a good result because he troubles the water with his feet and he
Right.
follows the rivers. So he's not only a sea dragon, he's a detriment to the world.
Another footnote
Uh-huh.
from chapter 29 under dragon said, opposition to God is at times represented by a dragon, identified as Rahab or Leviathan.
Well, of course, it started at the beginning, like the serpent, right? Like that's kind of the same. I don't know, kingdom, phylum, class, order, whatever. Like that old dragon, whatever. Like there's a lot of times Satan's kind of. So that compared to a dragon. So yeah, if you're talking about dragon, that's evil, right?
Yeah.
Some evil. Someone who is trying to be destructive, destroy what God has created, the good things that God created. The lion too. I mean, obviously, the male lion has a pride, and the male lion, like, he protects the pride. So he's gonna come in there and I mean, anything, hyenas or whatever, he's gonna just try to take them out, right? So, so the lion there is kind of not just even regal, but very protective or very kind of good, or as far as life, like protecting life of his own. And then dragon, I don't know, the dragon's just out to muddy the waters and destroy things or whatever. So it's sort of quite a contrast there, if you think about it that way. So let's see, how's God described in verses 3 through 6? What actions does he take against Pharaoh, and what do these actions reveal about God's power?
Vengeful and powerful. What I got.
Vengeful and powerful?
Trap or get him.
Mm-hmm.
Haul you up like a dragnet. Somewhere in here it says fish hooks. I got my notes as fish hooks.
Mm.
Well,
And you-
he used the net.
Yeah, the dragnet.
And then he just disposed of them. He just threw them up on land for the birds to pick at the carcass and the beasts to gorge themselves.
Yeah.
And I'll throw it on the mountains.
But it doesn't say anything about fish hooks. That was just my notes then. right?
I see. Well, it says, it says dragnet. What does this one say?
I will
here?
throw my net over you,
Yeah,
as well as a host of many other beasts. So not
Yeah,
just-
net.
okay. Because I got that, because like in Revelations, in the end days, when Israel's being attacked, God's gonna bring his attackers in like with a hook in his jaw. He's used that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's what I was getting from that.
Yeah, that might be a different reference to
And in a
like
modern
in Job,
world,
like in
Don,
Job maybe.
And a saying about, if you have a beef with someone, it's not gonna end well. Well, you have a beef with our Lord or God, it is not gonna end good
Uh-huh.
for you.
No.
So it never does with anyone who has beef or doesn't follow God's will and ways.
Yeah,
It's not gonna end good for them. You know?
right.
That's, not at all.
I mean, it seems like God is such an expert hunter, but he's not hunting in this case for food. He's hunting for survival, like to protect or whatever, or you know what I mean? So,
Or maybe he is fishing, but they separated out the fish, the good from the bad.
Sure.
These are the bad.
Exactly.
And they're just treating them like garbage.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna be scattered all over the place.
yep, garbage.
And God has control over man, beast, earth, heaven, and, you know, heaven and hell. He has control over everybody there, and, you
Yeah.
know, so he has control over everybody and everything
Mm-hmm.
to use as an army or, you know, to protect his will or figure his way. You know, if you aren't following my way, you know, bad things are gonna happen. You don't step in line, I guess.
Right. I mean, he talks about the birds and the beasts, you know, helping to destroy. I mean,
I think
also
he-
talks about a host of many peoples. So I mean, he's got all of creation, people, animals, everything.
I think they've used the net analogy before for salvation. Salvation was made for all. They put the net out and it gets everyone, the good fish and the bad fish. But at Christ's second coming, there's going to be a judgment.
Yeah, right.
Bad fish are going to be thrown out. They're going to be garbage. They're going to go to hell. And the good fish, the ones that believe, are the ones that are saved.
It's
Kinda-
the same analogy that is used in the Bible with the wheat.
Wheat. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. The weeds. You don't want to pull the weeds because you're going to get.
Chaff goes in the fire.
You-
You're going to pull the good.
Oh, there's the chaff. There's the chaff and the good wheat, but then there's the wheat of the harvest, and then there's the weeds. And you don't want to pull the weeds early because you're going to get rid of. You're going to hurt some of the wheat.
We'll separate it later.
Yeah,
Second
separate it later. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, anything else? That's pretty good. Okay, in verses 7 and 8, God states that he will cover the sun with a cloud and make the moon and stars dark over you. What's the significance of this imagery, and how does it connect with the plagues of Exodus?
That despair and darkness, blot you out, and, you end up in a pit of sin.
Wow. Yeah, sounds pretty dark.
Significance of this imagery is that God not only has power over all nations and people, but also worlds. And the vengeance, I don't know what that means. I need to read it before I come here too.
He has control over
Yeah.
sun, moon, and stars.
Everything.
Yeah. Well, what's the significance that it's, I mean, obviously he has control over them, but is there a significance to the darkness or the sun being blotted out or?
Well, you will have issues growing crops and, you know, temperature. Yeah, it would not be good if it's constantly dark all the time, and that affects a lot of things. You know, he's got a lot of power to make it dark for months, years.
Yeah.
Not be good for the people on earth if that was the case.
And that darkness wouldn't be like a dark night here. That would be pitch black,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Right, without any stars or moon.
Yeah.
And doing anything in the total darkness all the time would be very hard. Beyond
Yeah.
hard.
You know, this
Control of
plagues that
nature.
mentions in the question, the plagues of Exodus. I read somewhere that, you know, during those plagues, the one with the darkness, that the Egyptians were in the darkness, but Israel had light. Now, was that correct, or am I remembering this incorrectly? That's hard to, you know, or imagine that there's
Uh-huh.
darkness.
I know.
I think that's right.
Yeah, because not all of some of the plagues, everybody suffered, but some of them was just the Egyptians.
Some of the darkness was for the locusts. They blotted out the sun. They were so
Yeah.
Right.
What does it say? It does say it's going to cover with a cloud, right? So it's sort of a similar aspect. Cover the sun with a cloud. Cloud of locust. Well, there's like something in front of it.
I mean,
There's something there.
As I said, it'd be easy to figure clouds. I mean, even on our modern world, of course, you have a real cloudy day, it's less sun and bright, you know, you have the sun.
Yeah, and
Okay.
obviously,
I
like,
perceive that very easy.
and in God, in his light, his life is considered light, right? Like God is associated with light. And before the sun was created, God shone light on the earth, and in the new heavens and new earth, we don't need a sun because he's shining light on it. So,
Darkness prior to creation, everything was dark. And he created heaven and earth.
He created
with
light.
The
He
light.
said, let there
There'd
be
be
light.
light.
He didn't do the sun and moon yet.
right, yeah, the light was created before the sun.
There was light, and
But he also
I
now,
don't think it was the sun.
I think it was him. It was him.
Yeah.
It was right, yeah.
I think that also that he considered, like, it's sort of like God is light, or the light of the world, like we are the light of the
I
world,
think this
because
is a little bit symbolic.
so,
That
yeah.
Not only are you gonna be garbage strewn all over the place, but it's gonna be dark. You're gonna be separated from God.
separated from God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's what we're getting at here, separated from God.
The thing about the plague, I went back to look at Exodus.
Uh-huh.
Exodus 10:21, the note said a darkness was to be felt, possibly God caused a great swelling sandstorm, so that the sky was darkened except where the Israelites lived. The Egyptian sun god could not grant them light. So that's why they.
Yeah, right. All the plagues were against their gods. Kind of funny. I didn't realize that when I was younger, but it is kind of funny that all those plagues were against their gods. All right. Yeah, they had a God of light too, but he wasn't the real God of light. We, we know the God of light. We're familiar with him. Okay. 4. Who's identified as the instrument of God's judgment against Egypt in verse 11? What does this reveal about God's ability to use human actors to fulfill his purposes? Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar, did you say?
Yeah.
The sword of the king of Babylon.
Well, it's plural, I think.
Swords, the multitude that fall by the swords of mighty ones. Swords of mighty ones, all of them most ruthless of nations. That's in 12. I guess the question is asking about 11, so I guess it was
Yeah.
11 said Babylon, but obviously that's not the whole thought.
Well, would those be allies of Babylon, the other nations?
I don't know, maybe the enemy of my enemy is my friend, I don't know.
Well, the other verses just said, all the kings are gonna be scared. All the kings are gonna be scared, but then in 11, it specifically says Babylon comes upon you.
Okay. I'm getting it now.
I think he also used Nebuchadnezzar because he showed that he could use anybody, even the enemies of God, in order to be able to, accomplish his mission.
Yeah, I think that's.
To be able to use the enemies of God to enact the promises and work of God.
That's more for the second question.
I mean, look at.
Yeah,
Saul.
right.
Saul was pretty horrible.
Who?
Saul.
Persecuted,
Yeah,
and
right.
then all of a sudden, he's a saint.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all of his choices were not who you would think, but, that's the thing. I think that's why he did it.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah.
He was the littlest, he was out doing something, and all his brothers, the mightier ones were, no, not him.
This is very unusual. I mean, who do you expect? How do you use your opponent against himself or whatever? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it kind of like jujitsu where, they've got their, use their own strength against them?
Move your own momentum again.
I mean, it's not easy. I mean, I don't think you don't think of that typically when you're going to go to war to somebody. You're going to use your enemies to defeat your own enemies.
But it's God.
Yes, but he can. So
He can do anything.
I'm just saying that his ways are far above our ways, far above our ways. And very interesting, though. Very interesting. So he is able to use even his enemies against the human actors to fulfill his purposes. Shall we move on? Question 5. The second oracle speaks of Egypt being cast them down, even her and the daughters of the famous nations, unto the nether parts of the earth. Verse 18. What does the pit or Sheol represent in this context?
I think he's speaking about hell in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So we've got Egypt and her and the daughters of majestic nations going to the world below, to those who have gone down to the pit. So we're talking about definitely analogy of going to hell. There might be more to it.
There is, if you have the study Bible,
Mhm.
Yeah,
Meaning of Sheol. Means the resting place of mankind's mortal remains. Sheol can also mean realm of the dead, into which all enter who depart this life, righteous as well as wicked. So it kind of has several meanings.
Mm-hmm.
It also can mean the place where God's judgment overtakes evildoers.
So realm of the dead, realm of judgment is overtaking that, whereas judgment overtakes them. I think that's a good one too, because you can be judged here, like before you go on to actually to death, the land of the dead per se. Obviously, when you're judged, you're kind of headed toward the land of the dead. So it's sort of ending up there is a fulfillment of what's happening here. I know sometimes, and later on in maybe 33 or whatever, he's talking about the land of the living. So I don't know if that's a contrast to Sheol. What do you think the land of the living is? I don't know if you've read that part. Yeah. In the upper world.
Place where we want to be walking.
Yeah.
Or is it here and now on earth?
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Bad stuff is going on.
I mean, I can think either that's here and or like a heaven thing, or or being alive because of our faith, and so here we've got the opposite of that. We've got going down to the pit. They're being judged. They're going to end up in hell. They don't have faith. Some places is talking about uncircumcised or whatever. So those are people who don't have faith, who aren't in a relationship with God or whatever you want to call it, right? They're not his people. So we can see that when you are an enemy of God, not only are you going to be in the darkness, but you're going to be in the land of the dead, in Sheol, where the judgment occurs. And even if you're not there yet, you're headed there, and your life is kind of that way already. That if you've almost brought it on yourself, I suppose you'd say. So send them down to the world below. Okay. What is Sheol in the Old Testament? Question 6.
they're not thinking of Abraham's bosom, are they? Like when we went back on
Mhm.
page 790, I left it, whatever, 792, there's like Dennis was saying, there's different meanings.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't have been, would it? Because it's,
Well, you're talking about the sort of the parable where,
Well, back in the day, before Jesus, when they died and you were righteous, you went
Oh.
to the Abraham's bosom, right? Or that's what they said.
that sounds, well, you certainly in the Old Testament, a lot of times it says they went to their fathers. I know that there's that parable in the New Testament talking about Abraham's bosom. I don't know enough maybe about where we would find that in the Old Testament. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but Sheol is the opposite of that. Like there's a gulf between Abraham, like the children of Abraham,
Yes.
and
And
the
the vault and then, yes.
Yeah.
and Sheol.
that can't be.
Do they say that's Sheol at that, in that, there?
I don't remember if that's
He
specifically.
was in the lower part and he could look up at Abraham's bosom. Can't remember how
The
to pronounce it.
Lazarus thing, right?
Hmm?
Well, the Lazarus, is that the parable of
Yes.
Lazarus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
right.
I'm referring to.
Yeah.
I can't remember how they determined if it was,
What it was called?
yeah,
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't called anything,
yeah.
but maybe it was a reference to that, or what happens beyond that. Oh. Anybody else want to comment on what is Sheol in the Old Testament? I think we've talked about it as being the land of the dead. You already talked about it, Dennis, and we've talked about it before, I think.
It could just mean the grave too.
Grave, yeah, grave. I think it
That's where you-
is just,
The bones, the remains are,
Right, that was the first definition, and that's when I think they're talking about, when they talk about the Old Testament, being the resting place of mankind, mortal remains. That was-
Right.
That
I
was
saw
the
that,
literal
yeah.
definition, the
Hereafter.
out of the city of Boom.
but the third one is
Mortal
maybe what we're
remains.
talking about here. It says Sheol can mean the place where God's judgment overtakes evildoers.
yeah.
Yeah,
God's judgment's overtaking them. Yeah, so we talked about that in the previous question as well.
and he talked about, let's see. Karaz, rebel band, harlots.
Uh-huh. So the, people who are not God's people, who are averse to God are there. I mean, obviously that's all wrapped up together. Like anybody who's not with God by faith is an enemy of God and under judgment at some level. All right, I guess we can go into 7. Verses 22 to 30 list a number of defeated nations that have already gone down to Sheol. Tyre,
Syria.
Assyria. What did you say?
Elam.
Elam.
And Edom.
Oh yeah.
And the princes of the north.
I mean, there's answers here.
You're in the notes for 22 through 20. They mention all three of them. Basically, it's Assyria, Elam, and a place called Meshach.
Tubal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What message does this send to Egypt?
Well, it's interesting, my study notes say that these nations will have a welcoming party for Egypt.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think it says to Egypt, you're next.
Yeah.
Tells Egypt that they're next, and there are others like they're going to have the same fate, and God was able to send them those other nations there, and He'll also be able to send Egypt there. Like, is that kind of the idea? Like they're there already. I got them. I sent them there, and I will be able to send you there too. Even though you think you're a lion, you're a sea monster. I'm going to strew your remains across the land.
Seems like a lot of nations and people are gonna be down there. It just seems like it just adds.
Doesn't it?
goes on, and
It's
there's gonna be a lot of they better have a big room down there, because a lot of nations and people are gonna be down there.
Sounds like going through the wide gate or whatever, right? There's gonna be a lot of them.
Pretty big, it better be big down there, because a lot of people down,
Yeah.
a lot of nations and people.
Let's see. They do not lie with the mighty.
Yeah, that's.
Again,
what's so
circumcised.
strange. And they do not lie with the mighty.
Where do you see that?
27.
So, does it show them how?
Oh,
With-
the footnotes say they do
Weak.
not lie with heroic warriors who were granted a funeral with military honor.
Mhm.
I don't know what that.
Well, I mean, I think this, just in general, when you obviously you got the Creator God and you're dissing the Creator God, like you can't do anything. We know we can't do anything without God. We know we all good things come from God. So when you reject all that, you're not strong like you think you are. You're not the lion. You're not really even a sea monster because you think of sea monster as being powerful. You're not. You're just, like I guess at some level they don't have the power, but also they don't have the honor, right? That like lions honorable and sea monsters aren't. Like you're going somewhere where there's no honor. You think you're honorable, but you're going somewhere where the people are not honorable. Like you're not mighty like you think you are. You're just, you're just rogue. You're just a flash in the pan.
Or a dictator general in modern day world who's
Yeah.
right for the taking down.
Yeah.
You know, Saddam Hussein, all
The-
the above.
The pride really kind of goes before the fall sometimes.
Their day will come and it won't be positive.
Uh-huh.
I also get the feeling they're going through this, no ceremonies, no heroes, all that. It's like, you didn't have a chance. There were no heroes here. You were just wiped out.
Okay.
There's nobody ever to talk about. You're just.
Right, there was no, you're broken.
Who's that guy? You know?
Okay.
I never heard of him.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So you don't have anybody to save you.
There will
You don't
be
have
no
heroes.
Destruction of their lives, their land. It's done. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No legacy, no anything.
Uh-huh.
And it comes back to a lot of terms of uncircumcised again.
Uncircumcised, right.
Although, didn't the Egyptians practice circumcision?
Oh,
My study notes said
once
that
again,
Egypt practiced circumcision, so that would, to be an uncircumcised would be of a special shame to Egyptians.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
So that would have been.
And
from-
Egyptians practiced it.
Yeah, that would have been from Joseph, when he went there, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been before that, right?
Maybe that's where they found out about it. Yeah?
I mean, even, well, Muslims do too, right?
Do they? I don't know. I mean, they claim Abraham as their father, so maybe.
They say same father, different mother. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's a different God.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so they practiced circumcision, and so this would have been, they would have felt that when they're among the uncircumcised, they are among people who they wouldn't want to associate with. Little do they know that their circumcision wasn't effective because it wasn't to God like Abraham's was. It was to their own idol of themselves. So it wasn't effective anyway. It wasn't honorable in the first place.
I gotta do what? For nothing?
Yeah, for nothing. Yeah, I know. went down the field with their weapons of war, swords laid under their heads, and whose iniquities are upon their bones. Terror of the mighty one was in the land of the living. What's the next? What are we going to next? So we said, what message does it send to Egypt? What does it communicate about the temporary nature of earthly power and pride? It's temporary. it's it's not very powerful, and it's nothing to be proud of. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
It's not. You're not the lion. It's not what you think. You're not what you think you are. There are things above you, greater things, and you're not acknowledging that.
All glory to God.
God, yes, glory to God. So not only is earthly power and pride temporary, but it's an illusion.
It's short lasting, it's only our time on earth, because when we get to heaven,
It's short.
We can seek possessions here, but the day we die, someone else will have those possessions and they can never make it to heaven, it's just our soul.
Yeah,
So, I mean, they're great on earth, but once we leave, the second we leave earth, they're not great to us anymore. Someone else
Yeah.
will have them, and they never leave this earth.
yeah,
You know, they're on earth forever, and someone else will have them, but the second we die, their possessions are lost on for us. Someone else might have them, but when we go to heaven, they're not brought up.
mm-hmm.
They're only on earth.
Mhm.
I said they're great on earth, but that's the only place they're great. They're not great in heaven.
Yeah. You're just sort of
There's no
getting a
value in
taste.
Heaven, only here.
You're just sort of getting a taste. You're not really getting the real thing, the real
Right.
lasting thing, right?
So I said they're temporary here, our short time on earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
You're
no
selling-
one else can take them up with them. It'll be possessed by someone else here, but
Yeah.
for eternity, they're not leaving earth.
I keep thinking about selling your birthright for a bowl of soup.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's a pretty big disparity there. You think your soup, you're like, oh, this is the greatest thing right now. It's just soup. Why would you want to diss the real thing that you want, like something more significant? What you're getting isn't that significant.
I think it depends on, it also says something about the kind of power and pride, because Solomon had power and pride too.
Solomon.
God blessed him with it,
Uh-huh.
as long as he gave glory to God. The problem was the Egyptians didn't do that,
Right.
and they were taking it as, their
The-
own self-importance and power.
Uh-huh.
And that's why it really went down, because power itself is not necessarily a bad thing unless you're misusing it, right?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Same with wealth. If you share with other people, it's actually a good thing, whether it's
Right.
charitable, become a philanthropist,
Yeah.
and you're helping other people, that's by far the best.
Uh-huh.
Where you have a lot of money, and now you're just gonna look to give almost all of it back to a charity.
Yeah.
You have yours and you can provide your family, but the best is when people are helping hospitals, cancer
Yeah.
societies, so on, and charities, those are the best people when you find out, hey, they're giving most of this back to the world
Uh-huh.
that needs it.
Yeah, and we talk about that, what was I going to say? Slipped my mind. We, obviously everything comes from God. We're loving our neighbor through that, loving God through that. Wealth, it in itself is you may consider it a temptation, but wealth in itself isn't bad.
Especially if you share it with other people who need it. That's
here's what
the
I was-
bottom line.
A lot of times I hear, well, we in the United States, we're all rich
That's not
compared to
true.
other places in the world. And I'm not sure if that's always true. That's probably less true than it used to be. But but at some level, every human being is rich. We have life. We have family. There's riches there. So those are blessings that we should thank God for and be sober-minded about.
You should, you should, thank God for everything.
Yeah.
You should be,
Uh-huh.
it states there, he likes that when we're thankful.
Right.
Let him know, thank you for that.
And so you can see people who are not, or who want that for themselves, so who claim that for themselves rather than, everything comes from God. They're like, everything comes from me, Pharaoh, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how that is just not just the opposite of
Not
good.
sustainable.
It's evil. Yeah, it's not sustainable. Okay, should we move on? 8. Ezekiel is instructed to lament for Egypt. How should we as believers approach the suffering and judgment of others, even those who have opposed God?
Human nature, we want to say, well, it served you right.
Hmm. Yeah.
But the Ten Commandments, both the fourth and the eighth, tell us that we're supposed to help our neighbors and our enemies.
Hmm.
I mean, the eighth commandment, not to slander, but
Mhm.
actually to stand up for them when they're in need.
Hmm.
Would you
Yeah.
get out there fishing? For men?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why,
Yeah.
that's
mean,
why we're
even-
supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Even in war, if someone surrenders, you don't kill them. You take them as a prisoner, and you take them to the hospital if they need to go to the hospital, and you feed them and things like that. I don't know. It just, our human nature is to, well, served you right, and then you don't do anything about it.
But at least our country, getting, modern day, let's say World War II, we did help Germany, Japan, so our country did show mercy after our enemies were defeated to help restore their countries, and shortly after, it's amazing what a bitter, long wars those were, how in a short time they became our allies. And so it's amazing in whether it's the Bible or modern day, how
Yeah.
The United States always did that.
you and
Uh-huh.
I
We
could
defeated
be.
Germany, we built them up.
Yeah, and I've heard that's a sort of unique about us.
In our life, let's say you and I are neighbors and we have some disputes, and all of a sudden they kind of end and we have some commonalities, things we like, and with our children, maybe we have children, they become friends, and all of a sudden you and I would 10 years later are very good friends, but prior to that we were maybe considered enemies. So even
Yeah.
in life you could change, maybe even with a relative or a neighbor or a coworker. You could change, hopefully. People, especially like,
A point about what you said about how we rebuilt Germany and Japan. It wasn't an easy situation. My dad served in the occupation troops in Japan, and that was a horribly tense time, still, even after the war was over.
Is that right, really?
Between Germany,
Oh,
between Japan
Japan.
and the United States.
Hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
And how,
Well, look
well,
at
we're not, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, that's interesting. We'll talk more about that later. Because I was heard that, like, when we were fighting Japan, they fought to the last man. But when you captured those, I'm thinking Tara was a brutal battle. I think they captured 2 Japanese guys. They surrendered 2, and it was bloodiest battle. Anyway, once you captured them, the Japanese soldier, well, that was his old emperor. He was his guy. Now you are my guy. And you almost didn't even have to, keep them shackled, whatever. They just,
That's interesting.
They were different. You're like, well, I'm not to go into other things, but that's why it surprised me. But okay, we'll talk.
Yeah, there might have been some people like that, but also if you get the nation per se, they weren't involved in a specific battle. Maybe they were just resentful, or
Well,
they
should be
whatever.
I don't know if they should be, but there were a lot of civilian casualties there, where
Yeah.
you normally don't have in war.
In
Yeah.
Japan?
Within here, with the bombs,
They
the bombs.
Firebombed, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, the Hiroshima too.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
and so when we were there occupied, my dad was there too, and there was a lot of photos he took that he wasn't able to send home.
Really?
Yeah,
So
He said it was horrible.
So it was the civilian population was,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't even think that. Okay.
And Dan, since we're on this a little bit, it's easier when we aren't in a battle to get forgiveness. As I have, my best friend's father was in the war. He was in the Philippines, was shot by a Japanese soldier in a tree. The rest of his life, unfortunately, he didn't have any forgiveness. He hated everything Japanese people,
Yeah.
Japanese cars. So I try to put myself, well, if you aren't in the battle, it's easier. But when you're in a battle, I kind of realize it's harder. So I didn't put him down. Because I.
Well, in
was
order
the
to do
battle.
that,
You
in
know,
order
when you're
to-
far away from the battle, it's easier to say, okay, yes, we're gonna
Yeah.
help you, but when you're right in a battle, it's harder. So I
When-
don't ever put anyone down if their fathers or uncles served and they don't have forgiveness. I wasn't there, but, you know, from a far distance, it's easier to forgive. As I get older, I realize
I
that's
think-
just our nature. When you and I are in a battle, it's gonna be harder for you and I to forgive than someone way down the road.
Yeah, and
I
if
think
you're,
the example of a war was a bad one. I like the coworker one better now. Let's take that coworker that really bugs you, just drives you nutty, and if something happens to them and they're suffering, sometimes you don't have the compassion and empathy that you
Yeah.
should have. You're not helping them. Say, listen, I'm sorry, can I get you some chicken soup?
And on that subject, Ron, when they're no longer a coworker, let's say you meet them socially somewhere, things totally change. Where there's a
Yeah.
boss you didn't like, 6 months later, you come and know him with whether in a group or somewhere, or he moves close to a friend of yours, and things change. And circumstances change how we feel about people.
and there's not a power
Sometimes,
dynamic
whether
there.
They're no longer your neighbor or a coworker, maybe you
Yeah.
see them now and things change. So sometimes things definitely will change.
Yeah.
With your circumstances.
Well, as Christians, we should really be careful and check our own hearts.
Sure.
Act in a Christian manner.
And sometimes time
And that ain't easy.
tells us when we look back and say, wow, it's a lot of the things that I should have done. It wasn't that I did something wrong, but something I didn't do,
Omission.
and I should have, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, sins of omission. And that's kind of the thing about the commandment. You mentioned the commandments, right? Like all of those commandments have the opposite, like don't do this, but then do this, right? Don't murder, but do help them, keep their body intact or whatever. And don't commit adultery, but
Stand up for 'em when someone's
keep
bullying.
keep marriages healthy or whatever. Yeah, stand up for them, right? Like, don't covet, but help him keep his stuff, right? Like, there's always that other side of it, and
And that's hard to do for us, for certain things, like, I'm a
Right.
little personal, like the covet, it's hard. When you see someone,
Right.
that's my biggest, I'll be real truthful and honest, that's my biggest, is maybe covet. Of all the commandments, that's, I think the one I struggle with is the covet.
yeah,
Whatever it is.
because it's mental, right? You can't. It's
Even as a little kid, you might, your neighbor, the boy has a nicer bike or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that, to me, that's always the hardest one, is from a little kid to a man.
Sure.
You kind of covet things,
yeah. Well, it shows you that you might think, oh yeah, I always obeyed my folks, or I didn't kill anybody or whatever. But
Right.
when it comes to coveting, that's a mental thing, and you're like, how can I say that I never did that?
You can want that bike, you just can't have Ken's bike.
Yeah, you can't take it, but I guess it's still in your mind, you'd like it. But yeah, I'm not looking to steal it, but yeah, you covet, I guess, because you want something.
Well, it
Yeah,
can
but
lead
I'm
to
not
stealing.
thinking
Like all the
stealing it, right,
when you're breaking one of the commandments, it can lead to breaking other commandments, right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it-
you're walking almost a razor's edge on things like covet. I think a lot of us might all have that, whether it's our neighbor's house, new car.
There's- There's also sort of a domino, analogy, right? Once one falls, the other ones are falling.
Yep, slippery slope.
Yeah. So let's see. As believers, how should we approach the suffering and judgment of others? Well, everyone's our neighbor, not just our family here, but everyone, right? So, I mean, help your neighbor. and show that. I mean,
To me, it's even more to show that for people who oppose God, because if they don't see the
Then they see it.
compassion in you, they're never gonna see God the way he is.
And
So,
God does the same thing. He lets the rain fall on the wicked and the non-wicked, right? So he's blessing everyone, and that helps them to see him. Yeah.
That's our job, right? Yeah.
should be our mission.
What I got out of the end was fear, respect God, repent.
Fear. Yeah. Yeah, we ourselves should fear God. Yeah, because that could be us. That could have been us.
That was a big issue, I wouldn't say big issue, but there was a gentleman in Sunday Bible study that he didn't like the word fear God.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Right.
you shouldn't be afraid of him.
Mm-hmm.
He took it, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I always thought it was fear and respect.
Uh-huh.
Respect more than fear.
Uh-huh. I know. That's what I've heard too. Respect. I think it could be all of those.
You would best fear if God is going to punish you. That's where the fear comes in, where we know he could punish you. And you had better have fear, because this punishment is not gonna be, it may not be minimal. It could be very devastating.
But it's not like that you're a kid and you fear the dark,
Yeah.
you know, and you're afraid. Well, you know, to me, fear God because you know he can do all these things.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But-
You should fear yourself. You should fear yourself
Yeah,
for doing something wrong.
Right, yeah.
yeah.
You should fear your actions, right, because you know that if they're against God, that,
Right.
you know, that is not a good choice you made.
So, I mean, obviously God is love, but so why would you want to fear him? But if God is love, then he's taking those he loves and he's protecting them, like the lion, right? So you want to get on the other side of those claws of the,
And
teeth of that lion.
Dan, there's another word that is used prior to fear. Well, what's the word with God? We say
Trust,
blank and, blank and fear. And what's the other big word?
love, trust,
Obey.
obey.
I
Okay.
think that's the one I always
Obey.
think, obey and fear. Like,
Yeah, sure.
Because if you obey him, which is hard for us to do, then, the fear will be more minimal, because, but that obey is, to me, a key word. Love, yes.
Yeah.
Respect, trust,
Obey.
but obey,
Obey.
when he says,
Obey.
our 10 Commandments, you need to
Yeah.
obey them. Then your fear will be minimal, because you're walking the right line. That I always thought about obey the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
I always took it as respect, like, too. And I think a lot of people hang up on that. You'd be talking with some people about, this stuff, and some people say, well, I fear the Lord or something like that. And some say, well, I don't fear him. I love him. Well, I don't mean it like that. I've heard that a million times. People, so I think a lot of
Yeah.
people hang up on that. But I always took it as kind of respect.
Yeah.
You know?
There's just one question left. It's kind of a wrap-up question, so I think we're already kind of wrapping up with what we're talking about. But this chapter powerfully reminds us of God's justice and power. How should this truth impact our own lives and our understanding of the world around us? And I think we were kind of talking about that already. It's gonna,
Fear, respect, obey.
yeah, right, yeah.
Loyal.
Yeah, and we're gonna pray for our enemies, right? I mean, we don't want them to have that put on them, because we know that God doesn't want that. He's providing. He wants to provide for people, but you have to be sober-minded about your life. So he does have justice, but his justice is right. He knows that. He knows all, and he can make things right for those of us who are with him in his family. Okay. Would someone like to close in prayer? Or should I? All right. Lord, thank you for gathering us here today for a great discussion with these men and giving us the insights in sharing our own insights with each other. And thank you for your love for us, which also exits fear into your enemies who are also wanting to devour us as well as you, that we are with you and therefore we are in their way as well. Protect us and use your strength to carry us through to that last judgment day to be with you. Amen.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, nice job, substitute teacher.
Thank you.
We didn't do the third page.
Is there another page? I thought that was the last one.
Next week is the cleanup, right?